Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Welcome to the show. I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. Always appreciate you taking a little bit of your time and spending it here with us. Joined this week by Casper Wehrhahn. Casper, good to have you here.
Good to be here, and we have a good bit to talk about for this week, and I'm excited to get into it.
It's good. The last couple editions of the paper I've been really happy with. Wasn't on last week's show. It was yourself, Casper, and Kira that were on the show talking about the big news. We had so much big, important news last week.
Yeah, and honestly, it was hard to cover it all. Like, we were going through everything, and we actually talked about everything quite a bit, and to be perfectly honest, we usually go through things very fast when it's the two of us, so we always typically have to try and find a way to fill some time. But no, we were running out of time last week, and it was hard to get in a word for everything, but I think we managed. Just so much big news.
That's right. And this week, it's not as much. There's only about 5 stories we're really going to touch base on this week. And respectfully to those stories, as important as they are, they don't have the historic magnitude of last week's announcement about home hardware or the StatsCan census numbers and the big jump for the population of the town of Neepawa. But they're still important to people, and they're still important that we share those stories, maybe just to give that perspective and all the different sort of views. And the perfect example of that is right on our front page. Now, there's a number of people who aren't sports fans who read our paper on a consistent basis, so they might not be aware of this. But we want to share this because this is one of those ones that we're glad to be able to share it, and we're glad that it happened right here in Neepawa. Ken Pearson, the general manager and the head coach for the Neepawa Titans Junior A hockey team, recently celebrated a significant milestone for his job. His 1,000th regular season game in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Those are the types of milestones for any career that are significant. It should be noted, he's coached more than 1,000 games, obviously, playoff games, even though we haven't seen many of those in Neepawa just yet. But he's coached many a playoff game in Winkler and Winnipeg and in other leagues, and he's turned the team around here in Neepawa. You'll be able to see it. Let me show you the front page here as well. Got a little slightly artsy Casper with sort of the angles and the perspective on the picture there. You can sort of see the logo on the ice in the background there. Tried to do it a little bit differently from our standard, just stand next to a wall type thing.
Yeah, you got a very good perspective there. That's actually something I noticed when I was looking at the paper. And yeah, just the lighting really worked out for that shot. And it can be very hard to get that in that rink, actually.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, and again, trade secret, the original was much darker than that. We had to run it through Photoshop to sort of lighten it up a bit. And the thing is, somebody had said, is like, wow, you really emphasize Kenny's beard and the silver in it there. It was like, it wasn't intentional. But again, we're all getting up there in age. And actually, Kenny, this is the weird thing I figured out. Kenny's younger than I am.
Oh, okay.
By about 6 or 7 months. So that's just the sort of the quirk of it. But he's been doing it for so long to reach that 1,000 milestone in the MJHL. And Casper, for a job like that, for coaching, these are the types of things that sort of, they're the example of you've reached it, you've established yourself in your position. And Kenny's moved around a bit. In the story, we talk about his time as an assistant here in Neepawa and in Winkler, and then moving on to the big job with the Winkler Flyers, going out to Alberta, coaching for Brooks, going to Saskatchewan, coaching Battlefords, if I remember correctly, coming back, winning a championship with the Winnipeg South Blues as a head coach. That's a big accomplishment. That's a big deal. That's sort of the stamp on your legacy type thing. And then finally, after another stint in Winkler, coming to Neepawa and turning, let's be honest, an organization that has floundered in the last 12 years. 12 years, not a single winning record, and only one playoff appearance. And I don't say that to lay blame. There's a lot of people behind the scenes on the board, the coaching staff, the scouting staff, the players that have put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. They need to be commended on that. It's just the luck of the draw of just the way things played out. And we were at a point a couple years ago where we played a full season and only had 9 wins. It was historically our worst season ever. It was a real down time. And again, I don't want to put blame on anyone who was involved at that. They were putting in the effort. They were trying. But we needed a new perspective. And Ken happened to come in at the right time, had a vision, and slowly has been turning it around. Like the record they got right now, Casper, is they are under 500 right now. At 60, as we record this, at 16, 18, and 8. So even though it's under 500, this is still the best record they've had in about, at this point of the season, in about 5 or 6 years. So it's progress. It's incremental progress. And a lot of that can be pointed towards Kenny and putting in a new perspective on the ice there. And it's always nice, I think, to sort of spotlight somebody who's been doing something and deserves that little bit of recognition, in my estimation.
Yeah, it's definitely something he's really been going for here. I mean, like 1,000 regular season games, like that's that's a good number. Yeah. I don't think I've even hit that in stories yet in my couple years here, so that'll take a bit more time. But yeah, he's in my estimation as well, he's been doing really well with the team there. And I think you can see it on the ice when they play. They've had, of course, some downfalls still. That's going to happen. Yeah. Just, things happen. You get in your own head maybe when you're playing the game or something partway through the game just sort of tips the balance of things and it doesn't go well at the end there. But, actually, compared to previous years, how would you estimate that they're doing right now in terms of on-ice gameplay?
As I said, they are better now. And the organization as a whole. When we think about a coach and general manager, you think of just doing the work on the ice. But when it comes to Junior A hockey, those individuals have to do a lot more community balance things. They got to be out there. They got to be reaching out to the businesses. They got to be talking to the families. They got to be talking to the parents. There's a lot that goes into the behind-the-scenes stuff. And sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes you got to tell players, yeah, you're done. Unfortunately, it's an emotional job, and he's trying to find the balance for it. And hopefully the community can sort of see that and appreciate it. So again, congratulations. And as you said, coming up on 1,000, you're not quite sure. This shows where I'm at. As of the end of January, I was at 1,836 stories written for the Neepawa Banner Press. Us old dogs start paying attention to those types of things a little bit more, But 1,836, about 14 of them good. So, that's a good percentage for me.
They can't all be winners,
But you know what? I think quite honestly, this one about Kenny, that's number 14 right there. That's a good one. So even if you're not a fan of sports, hopefully you'll take a few minutes and just go through the journey that Ken went through over the last several years, decades, to get to this point and continue to move forward. So congratulations to Ken Pearson on that and to the entire Neepawa Titans organization for the time and effort they put in on that. All right, now, over the last couple weeks, there's been a lot of changes to the COVID-19 regulations and restrictions. Around this time last week, the announcement came down from the province that they were going to be sort of pulling back in terms of the mandates. Some significant pullback on those mandates. I'm not going to throw my opinion out there on this. It is what it is. This is a news story is a news story, and an opinion piece is an opinion piece. This right here is a news story. So, and the news is that as of March 1st, as we speak right now, for example, sporting events, 100% full capacity is now allowed in there again. And then on the biggest one I thought, which was interesting and shocking to me, was March 15th, they will no longer require masks. That one just, all right, I'll throw a little opinion in here, Casper. That threw me for a loop. That was completely out of the blue, I thought. But they seem to think, yeah, let's start rolling. Because the comment that's always been made, Casper, is we need to start learning to live with COVID. And I agree with that 100% wholeheartedly. But that part of it, of the living with COVID, just totally just sort of knocked me on my seat. But what was your takeaway from some of these rule changes? And again, you can find that story on page 2.
No, I definitely get that. And just sort of regarding the whole living with COVID thing, like, that doesn't mean going back to how things were before because, well, the circumstances have certainly changed. But what it does mean is that adjusting so that we can still, go about daily lives and stay safe. Just sort of finding ways to keep going about things while, protecting ourselves and protecting others. And yeah, I was actually very surprised to see that they're going to be getting rid of masks completely. Like, that's just going to be done, over with, not required or recommended anywhere. Well, maybe recommended, but it's not going to be like you have to wear this thing if you're in an establishment.
What was interesting is I was reminded of this last night. I completely forgotten that they had removed the mandate previously during this for a short period of time last year. I got to admit, just everything blends together, and I forget when. It was like a 2 or 3 week period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for about 2 weeks, and then they were like, "Oh damn, that was a bad idea," and they reversed it. So I'm not sure if the same will happen this time around. I mean, I guess we'll just have to see. But I don't know. For me, at least, it feels too early for some of this, the masks in particular, because that is how we protect not only ourselves, but the people around us. And, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't know, that was kind of shocking to me.
And again, it's one of those things of March 1st, requirements in terms of showing a vaccination card will be rescinded as well. That was another one that sort of was surprised. I mean, that little card with the barcode now is going to become sort of a piece of history for a lot of us here. Still going to keep mine around just to be safe, because, like you said, who knows what's going to happen 2 weeks after the fact. But in their estimation, enough people are most definitely double vaccinated, and to this case now triple vaccinated, that we can progress on this. And I can see that perspective of it. We were promised a bill of goods, essentially, that if you get vaccinated, if you get double vaccinated, if you get triple vaccinated, we can return to a version of normal. And I guess I guess that's where we're at right now. They're going to try and return to a version of normal. But you're right. It does feel, personally, it's like, wow, I wasn't expecting it. It even though we're returning to a version of normal, it doesn't feel normal.
Yeah, and I guess that's sort of how things turn out when you're dealing with an extensive circumstance here, like dealing with the pandemic, because you get used to doing the masks and gotta make sure I have my vaccination card because I'm going to this place, and they do require that. And all those other little things. So then when you read something like this, it's like, that doesn't feel like that's normal anymore, And I hope as well that, because, obviously businesses can require different things. I hope that if there are businesses out there that still require masks in their stores, other types of things, that people will be very understanding about it, because they can have that as their set of rules there. if they feel it's for the safety of their employees, the people going there and whatnot. So I hope if that is the case for different businesses, that people are very, very understanding about that and sort of, go in and go about things without making a huge fuss about it. Because, at the end of the day, we are still dealing with the virus, even though everyone, myself included, would like it to just be done with. That's unfortunately not the case. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. A lot of provinces are progressing with this here. We will see how it plays out. I don't have anything else to add other than that. If you'd like to sort of get the specific details of what has been altered already and what will be altered in the very near future, you can find that story with some updates added just before we went to the publication deadline. You can find that story on page 2 of this week's edition of the Banner and Press. You can pick up a physical copy pretty much anywhere in and around Neepawa, or you can find the digital version on mywestman.ca. All right, let's talk about another big story for Neepawa. We talked a little bit about the census in passing at the start here. The progress and growth of the community means growth in a lot of other avenues, one of which, a big announcement, the Neepawa Hospital, which was made back in December. And they said they would be announcing a location in the near future. They didn't give a specific time publicly, but there's been a lot of talk, a lot of people as of late just sort of murmuring in the background going, where are they going to put it? They're trying to figure out where it's going to go because they need 40 acres for it. And they're trying to do the math of, well, you can't put it here because it's 30 some odd acres. And you can't put it here because this is going here now. And you can't put it here because that's not actually in Neepawa. But we did a little bit of digging. We did a little bit of pursuing to find out where it's going to go. And we can give you the exclusive right here, right now on the story behind the story that we still don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of an update that, there is no update just yet. I believe it was yourself. Yes, it was yourself that was in contact with the health regions and whatnot, seeing what's going on. And the locations that are being considered are still being kept secret for now. So we don't really have any hints for you just yet, unfortunately. And that's actually something we were talking about last week, Owen. It's just that we really don't know.
Yeah.
And the one of the locations, or a couple of locations that we thought might be where the hospital could go, were taken up for different things. I think the hotel location was one of them, potentially. And
of course the home hardware as well. You would have figured that amount of space where it's going would have been perfect. But now I don't know. I don't think they got 40 now with the home hardware.
It's a big mystery for all of us. We're just as in the dark as all of you are. So we'll keep an eye on it and keep you all updated as well.
But one thing we did get, and that story as well, you can find on page 2 of the newspaper, talking with representatives from Prairie Mountain Health, talking with our mayor, of course, Blake McCutcheon. It's important to realize the town of Neepawa is not directly involved in the selection process for this. This is something the province is going through along with Prairie Mountain Health. They're alerting Neepawa as the progress goes along, but Neepawa doesn't really sort of have that, well, you can't put it there, you can't put it there, you should put it there, say, in this. They know a little bit more than we do, but they're sort of obviously, keeping it close to the vest. Prairie Mountain Health as well is keeping things close to the vest. They commented to us, and I can paraphrase here by saying, they're essentially saying, don't worry, due diligence is going through, things are moving along smoothly, they are dotting the I's, and they are crossing the T's. It sounds like, and I can say with 70 to 75% certainty that they've got the specific location in place. They know exactly where it's going to go. They're just making sure all the paperwork for the purchasing or whatever is going to go through. So it's a very exciting time, and we hope to be able to share with you on this show very soon the location, the official location it's going to go to. All right, now, Casper, you worked on this, and you were a braver soul than I. to be able to sit through this, because sometimes these types of meetings and AGMs can just go forever. But you were in and you were listening in on the Manitoba Beef Producers AGM, and you got a couple interesting sort of intriguing tidbits. Share with us what came out of this year's.
Yeah, so that was something I sat in on. I admit I missed a couple spots here and there for one reason or another, just having to step out to get something to eat, or there was other business I had to tend to. But I did catch most of it there. It was held virtually over Zoom. I think that was on February 10th. Yes, February 10th, bright and early. It started about 10:45 a.m. Perhaps not super early for some people, but for me, early. If I had my way, I would sleep in naturally until like 10 in the morning. So early for me. But no, this is an all-day affair here. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff in there. Of course, they had their knowledge sessions to kick it off there, and some words from the president and general manager there. And yeah, they had some good information, some stuff about the hay disaster benefits and what it paid out this year compared to previous years, and some other sort of financial stuff like that in terms of ways that producers have been helped throughout the harsh year, because last year was a very tough year, and that's coming on the heels of continued drought conditions for a few years now. And, you know, with that, there's a whole bunch of problems that you face. You know, obviously, things are very dry, so you don't really get your crops coming in if you're doing crops as well, and that creates a lot of feed issues for cattle specifically in the beef industry.
So, Casper, let me ask you then, what was, looking into 2022, what is the overall, what was the sense you got about the feel they have for 2022? Are they feeling optimistic? Are they still feeling a little trepidatious? What's sort of the vibe?
2022, they actually have some pretty high hopes here. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what the melt is like for the spring, because that's very important. We did get a lot of snow, compared to last year anyway, a good deal of snow this year for winter. And we're going to get more tomorrow, if you're watching this right on Thursday, because we're supposed to get a blizzard tomorrow. So that'll be something. So yeah, if they're able to get that nice steady thaw, that will really help out the water tables there, and that'll help producers really sort of keep a handle on things a bit more as the year progresses. And then just in the office as well, they're going to be doing a lot of advocacy work. They have a lot of things on their schedule, such as advocating in terms of crown lands, for example. They're going to be working really hard on that. And that's actually one good thing that has come from the pandemic, I guess you could say, is that they're able to do a lot of this advocacy work sort of like over Zoom and whatnot, because a lot of political parties and whatnot are having more availability that way, so they're able to collaborate a bit easier with them on that sort of stuff, and help sort of say, hey, this would work better if we did this on different legislations and whatnot. And I do have a good list here, actually, of the different stuff that they're looking to sort of work on page 7 there. So as I mentioned, crown lands, feedback for new agricultural policy frameworks so that they can improve like business risk management stuff in terms of agricultural productions there. Some loss prevention stuff, as well as just really looking for ways to help in regards to climate change, because that is a very prevalent topic, and it has been for quite a while, but political parties are working more on having some sort of climate change platform in their parties, so they're hoping that they can sort of sit in and help guide that in terms of agricultural fields. And as well, like climate change, that really affects the agricultural industry. People might not think about it a whole lot in that term, but yeah, like that has a big impact. Like it'll, again, it could cause several years of drought. There could be really bad flooding. We don't need that. And land erosion, etc., just depending on like the conditions and whatnot.
That's the big one. That's one that the average person doesn't really give much thought to, the concept of land erosion, but that is a farming killer. One of the most significant farming killers through the U.S. Midwest, but coming further and further north, it seems, as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And another thing is just that, they are working on ways that, if conditions continue to improve, then they can have more habitat conservation, which is another big thing because, we have all these ecosystems that are really crucial to the environment. And if you're converting these large sections of land to crops, as much as we do need crops, because, that's food and a whole bunch of other stuff, to do that, you do get rid of, grasslands and whatnot. And those are very critical for a lot of different species. And everything sort of kind of intertwines there. And one thing just impacts the next and the next and the next because it's all connected. So they're really hoping to showcase the benefits that the agricultural side of things, specifically beef, can provide.
And that's why even if you don't think you have a direct connection to the beef industry, you still do have a connection to it. And that's why you should take a few minutes, just go over page 7 of the paper. You can find this very significant and important group here in Manitoba. It's important that we all sort of give it a look and sort of learn some of the tried and true sort of issues and efforts that are put on by Manitoba beef producers on a year-by-year basis. All right, now we're getting near the end here. There's so many other things that we could have talked about. We're running short. Just going to give a quick shout out. Kira Patterson wrote an article on the Margaret Lawrence home and their plans for 2022. They got some big plans. They got a feeling they're optimistic that they could get back to a version of normal. And that's great to see, Casper, I think, definitely.
Yeah, especially for this group here because, they really do depend on the fundraising and whatnot that they're able to do. And just their mission statement as well is, making sure that the Margaret Lawrence home isn't just an empty monument. It's a home for the arts, and they want to keep it that way. And putting on events is the way that they're able to do that. So it's very exciting to see that they'll be able to start doing that again this year, since they haven't been able to do it so much in past years, just with restrictions and whatnot, wanting people to be safe. So yeah, they've got a good year planned ahead of them. A few different events are going to be back on. Some new things that were going to launch last year but didn't have the chance, unfortunately. That's going to be going ahead. And some new fundraising efforts as well, I believe.
That's so important, the fundraising efforts, because little organizations like this and others throughout Neepawa are only supported by the people who stand up and support them financially and with their time and effort. So many different volunteer groups, and it's wonderful to be able to share their stories each and every week. And we love sharing those stories with you. And if you have an example of those, we'd love to get it from you. You can contact us at news@neepawabanner.com with any news stories you have, or you can contact us via a phone call, 476-3401, the number we can be reached at. Anything news, sports related, entertainment, arts, we want to hear it all. Over the last couple of years, we've talked so much about COVID-19. We want to talk about some other stuff as well. Now that things are, to a degree, opening up, that's going to give us an opportunity to do so. But small town paper, there's only so far and so many places we can go to. We need your help. Point us in the direction you want us to go. We'd love to be able to get there. And with your support, we'll definitely do it. And we'll be able to sit here each and every week and share these new and interesting and fascinating stories with you. So, Casper, great to have you here again. Thank you.
Great to be here again, and I look forward to the next one.
And thank you for tuning in each and every week to the Neepawa Banner Press and NAC TV, and of course, the story behind the stories. Bye for now.